All right, we're going to go ahead and start and go through the first race of the JCM Winners in Davis Island. It's a Friday race, and here's going to be race one. Let's look at the forecast throughout the day here. Here's the forecast for Friday. We can see the winds started around 10 o'clock, came up to about 20, back down to under 10, and then back up over 20. Later on in the afternoon. You can see the rotation here. There was a little left and then swinging right as the wind died and filling in. Pressure came in from the right side. So let's take a look now at the results. The boats that we have that we're analyzing is Very Odd, who got fourth in this race. Pinta. Then we got Superior 1, Superior 2, right here, 26. And then we also have, where are they? Progress down here. We will show in our analysis. So let's go over to, here's the starting line. And for you guys that are not familiar with this little setup, and what I do here is I try to center the wind at least here on the start, and I can move it back and forth a little bit looking at the tacks here. And we can slide this a little bit over, but I think the wind's a little bit more, almost right there, maybe a little bit here. A little bit pin end favored at the start, just a pinch, I would think, just by looking at the tack angles and so on and so forth here. So let me adjust this one a little bit more, but not much. Let's see here. Boom. That's too much. Back it up here. Okay, so here, down here at the very bottom where it says 7:10:41, that's our start time, and you'll see here as I start to move forward, Chip actually ran the races right on GPS time, so we can see the start right at the GPS time here. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to kind of slide this forward. Just a couple things, as you see here. You know, one of the things, these are all the port approach everybody's doing, trying to get in line here. And, you know, SUP 1, we were first and odd to get over onto starboard here. We have about, let's see, what's our start time here? Our start time here is at 12. So we tacked over right at a minute 10. And it's just a matter with 60 some odd boats, it's so hard to find the spot and try to start next to somebody that's not really, really good under your bow, you know, is always a challenge. But, you know, finding, this is, I think, the most important part of the start time is right now, getting over onto starboard. And now you're just controlling your lane and trying not to have anybody come in and to lure it of you and hook you, and just manage so that you can accelerate at the right time here. So here we got about 40 seconds left. Progress obviously not finding a place to be in line, a little bit low. They got caught a little bit low early on, and I think there's a little danger there because now you have less wind under the pack, and makes it hard to find your hole and get up into a position. Unless you get on starboard a little bit earlier and you have some speed to come in and try to find a hole, super, super hard. So let's get to about 30 seconds. Here we are at 30 seconds, going about almost 2 knots here for both SUP 1, 2, 3, and 2. Just trying to manage speed here a little bit. Under 2 is definitely a danger zone for accelerating. But, you know, we still had decent pressure coming in here. We got 15 seconds here. SUP 1's bow's coming down a little bit. Pinta's just doing almost a straight build coming in. SUP 2's bowed down now. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, gun. Here's the gun. You can see boat speeds here, 5, 5, 5, 6, 11, 5, 8, and off they go. Amazing these guys found a hole to get through there. That's good. That's probably a very good exit if you look at it. Now probably clear air, maybe, hopefully, off the line there. And I'm going to just go ahead and let this play out slowly, and we'll talk through it a little bit here. You know, and what I like to do, I like to look at the lines, and you can kind of tell sometimes if you're headed, but it looks very consistent on the, you know, up this first beat here, a little bit of the lines Maybe a little left up here, a little left track, so you can see a little lefty up here in the top. That's probably what ends up pulling these guys together up the racetrack a little bit. Let's see how we do sup 1 versus sup 2 coming back across. Speed up here a little bit more. A little bit of a lefty right in here, you can see it. Progress not doing bad. So their start wasn't horrific there. More of a lefty, a little bit. Looks like here we got a little righty coming back in here, so that's why there's a couple of tacks. Trying to manage that ley line without getting tacked on is always very difficult. Obviously, we did more tacks. Sub 1 and sub did much more tacks than odd. I mean, those guys have only tacked 3 times so far, and they're going to get around pretty much around in pretty good shape there. Just so you can see what happens, you get outside the ley lines. There's so many boats in here. A little hard to tell whether we're wing on wing. Probably wing on wing in here, do my guess. These guys are coming in probably on port. I'll slow it down once we get to leeward mark here a little bit. And again, these marks are guesstimates at you know, where the mark is. So it's just a relative. I look at kind of where everybody turns around. But you can see Pinta here had a nice, it was able to hold a lane here. And again, the most important thing is being able to hold the lane and get through those, go straight for a little bit and then tack out if need be. What's interesting here is seeing the lift that these guys are coming back on. A little bit of a knock coming back into here, but then gets a lift back on the backside. But look at the angle up here. It's definitely a right lift up here, probably helping him sup 1 get back across a little bit. Not too much though. This actually looks a little bit better now. Looks back on the lift attack here. Progress coming around. Looks like a lift. 5 knots, you know, 5 1s, 5 0s, maybe a little bit slow. 5 7s, 5 5s, 5 7s. A little bit slow in here, maybe not. Now bow down, going fast. Probably lane management is really what's happening up in there. If we look upwind here, you would say very little. Probably a lefty here compared to this angle. Probably just a little bit of left. Action probably helps sup come back into this, sup 2 come back into this also. Looking at Progress's angle here. Maybe bad air would be a guess, maybe. Should be almost in the same line with this. Really hard once you get in the back of the fleet. It just gets so crowded, and trying to find a clean lane is really hard. It's like maybe wing on wing actions here. Getting really good at it. when you need it and getting your transitions done. Then we have a little bit of work, but it's just repetition and time. Looks like that's interesting. Let's pause this here. Looks like back up here. Yeah, they were always ahead here coming down. So, yeah. All right, now what I like to do is let's show you guys the step details, which is really interesting. Show step details. Here we go. This is really good. This is this column here is the first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, and then overall. So if you look at what I look at is boat speed, which is your average boat speed throughout the leg. So odd was at 5.46, Pinta's at 5.35, 5.46, 5.5, 5.56. And then I also look at distance sailed. 2.8 kilometers, 2.82, 3.2 kilometers, 3.031. So the shortest distance sailed was Pinta at a 2.82, but they were actually slower also, 5.35. So they were slow on speed, but slow on less distance, and I think that's what kept them in the game up the first beat. So it's really good to look at this and just kind of stop, and I'll leave this up at the end, and you can just kind of look at the numbers and in your mind and try to figure out what you saw during that leg. So here's the downwind legs: 6.4, 6.5, 6.1, 5.98, and 6.07. So sub 1 sailed the slowest at 5.98. Now let's look at distance sailed: 2.31. 2.37, 2.31, 2.1, 2.2. So we sailed the slowest and went the less distance. So maybe a little bit lower, maybe, is what you would think here looking at these numbers, at least for this particular leg. So that's what's really nice about this. And then you can go to the upwind leg here. Let's look at this one: 5.61, 5.57, 5.8. 5.6, 5.6. So Progress sailed the fastest at 5.8 at a 2.9, 2.5, 2.5, 2.6. So probably lower and faster for sure, because they sailed more distance on average and they sailed faster. So that's definitely a flag that I look at a little bit of maybe just being a little bit too low. And I know these guys, the rig wasn't set up right either for the first day, but there you go. So this is, and I'll do this for every other race. I won't go in quite as much description detail throughout the next races, but you guys can go through it as you wish.